Hello, I'm Jay Calenad, creator of Relics of Hyrule, and this is the Relics of Hyrule Wiki. It has a lot of information, but it's not complete. So I'm making this video to help people who want to submit articles and want to help with the articles and add information, but don't know really where to start or how to use the software, because it can get a little confusing, the Wikia software. So I'm going to tell you what to do. I'm going to make an article for a weapon called Midna's Sabre. There's two ways to make an article. One way is to hit this button up here, add new page, on the home page, add new page, and then just type in the name of the article. Midna's Sabre. Boom. The other way to make a new article, oh, wrong one. The other way to make a new article is to click on red text. Red text means it's linking to something that's not there. So if I wanted to make a, let's say, Moon's Tier article, I would click on Moon's Tier, and I always go blank page because standard layout doesn't really do what I want. So I'm going to hit blank page, and that creates an article for Moon's Tier. But you'll notice this is a different editing setup than what I have for Midna Sabre. I find the one here, this one, to be way more easier to use. Way more easier. Easier to use than this. This has less tools, and it's a little, the layout is more confusing to me. So I tend to prefer this one. This one can help with things like galleries and slideshows. So whichever one you prefer, I personally prefer this one, but if you prefer this one, that'll work. Either way. So what I'm going to do is, first, Midna's Sabre needs to have some information. So Midna's Sabre is a unique Twilight Sabre in Midna's tomb. Basic information. And then pretty much that's all you need. That's the basics of one simple article. And then people can come and expand it. But I would definitely prefer if you added more information than just where it is, because it can be a lot of work. So at the very least, link to places. So there's already an article on Midna's tomb. So all you need to do is highlight the text and then click this little link button and hit done, and it will link to an article. You'll notice it went blue for Midna's tomb. That means that there's an article on Midna's tomb and you can visit it. It went red for Twilight Sabre, which means there's not an article for Twilight Sabre. It's the same thing here. Moon's Tears are special gems. Special rare gems. Special rare gems. And if, for instance, if we wanted to do rare gems, you could click on that link and do that. There you go. There's no rare gems article, so it went red, but I'm not going to bother with that. I really do prefer this one because it's a little simpler how it does that link system and a lot of other things. It has all the same functionality. You can add galleries, you can add images, but say we needed an image for Midna's Sabre, which we do. We need to take a screenshot. So I'm going to pop into Skyrim very quickly and get that party going. Okay, we're here in Skyrim, and we need to get a Midna's Sabre. Two ways to do that. One is to open the console and type help quotes Midna's, or whatever item you're looking for, and then that will give you the ID. for Midna Sabre, and all you do is player.add item, add item 20C 1C288. That is the form ID. So I'm actually going to write that down because we'll need that. C1C288. There's another way to find the form ID, which we'll talk about later. The 20, those two first characters, 20, not important for the wiki. So what I usually do when I'm writing in the form ID for the article is number, parentheses, number, C1, you know, whatever the ID is. So that will add Midna Sabre, player.add item, form ID 1 will add 1 Midna Sabre. This number, you can change it. If we wanted 3, that would add 3. So now I have 4 Midna Sabres, which is ridiculous. Now, I could take a screenshot right now of Midna Sabre, but I don't want to do that. Because if I took a screenshot of Midna Sabre, then that guard's going to be there. All these shadows. Even looking at the ceiling, that's not good. It's distracting. It doesn't show you the true colors of the item. It's not ideal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to a different place. I need to pick up Moon's Tears too. So here's what I'm going to do. COC ROH debug. And this goes to the debug room where I can get a Moon's Tear, or I can get other items. I prefer using the console to just bring it into my inventory because these debug chests are not complete. Not everything is in them, but the Moon's Tears are. So I'm going to check MISC for the Moon's Tears. And Moon's Tear. Another thing, if you're working on an article and you don't want to get any spoilers about what else is in the mod, debug chest is not the best place to go. Debug cell is not the best place to go. Highly recommend using the console command help, and then whatever you're looking for, and then whatever you want to add. I'm actually going to write that down. Number 8FFAAD. Okay. Now, we could take a screenshot in here, but then we'd have all this stuff in the background. So, we need to go to another place, COC ROH image cell. This is a specific cell in Relics of Hyrule for making pictures. So we're just going to look up. So there's black, and then we're going to take a screenshot of Midna Sabre. There. So now it's just the saber, nothing else. Take a screenshot. So it's just black background and the weapon. That's what every image should be, unless it's something like you're taking a picture of a location, or you're taking a picture of a full armor set with someone wearing it, or a person. Actually, no, even a person should be on this black background. If you're summoning in a person and you need to have them by you and take a picture of them, you can do help, whatever their name is, and then player.placeAtMe their ID. And with this, you don't need to do 1. You can only you can do that. If you wanted to hit do this, you can do that as well. But with placeAtMe, it defaults to 1 unless you add another number. So now we have...
How's it going?
Where you go? Oh, there you go. Now we have Ignatia here. She's standing there. And then to take a screenshot of her, I'm going to open the console and hit TM. And that disables the menu. So now I can take a screenshot of her, and I can use that in an article if I wanted to make...
You're someone who can get things done. I like that.
Thanks. Anyway, so yes, that's how you take screenshots. That's the best way to do it. If we wanted to take a screenshot of her...
It's always good to see someone I can count on.
If we want to take a screenshot of her in her natural habitat where you find her, then you find her and take a screenshot. Okay, hopefully that's a good explanation of how screenshots work. Now we have all the screenshots we need, so we're going to leave Skyrim. And we're back to the article. Now, generally articles should have info boxes. So I'm going to add an info box for Midna's Sabre. I'm going to hit the insert button, then info box, and I'm going to click weapon. Doesn't matter which one you can use any of these three for weapons. For Moon's Tier I would use misc item, and some of the info boxes are not available, like the character info box. I don't know where that one went, but info box weapon for Midna's Sabre, and that gives you a bunch of information, a bunch of things to fill in. You don't have to worry too much about any of these, except image is really necessary, and we can use the image we took. Form ID is important, so I'm going to enter the form ID, C1C288, because I wrote that down, but I'm going to make sure it's capitalized for the sake of consistency. It's a one-handed sword, and everything else we can find using TES 5edit or Xedit program. Image, what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the screenshot folder. It's generally let's see here. When you take screenshots, the screenshot folder is here. It's in Steam, Program Files, Steam, User Data. These numbers, I think, correspond to like where you installed, like when you installed it. So these numbers won't always correspond, but you find which one corresponds to Skyrim, then remote, and then the screenshots. You can also, through Steam, if you do, let's see. This is probably the simplest way to do it. If it would load, come on, load. Just load already. Why are you taking so long to load? Okay, go to the view screenshots. Sometimes it'll default to last session. You can also sort by game. So my last session was here, so I'm going to click show on disk, and that brings me to the same folder. So I'm going to go way down here, because the newest one's way down here. I'm going to open this up in MS Paint. Open with Paint. Because I want to crop it. I want to make sure it's square. It is fine to... Nope. It's fine. It would be fine if you uploaded it like this, but I just want to make sure that it's square. There. That doesn't look that great. Oh, hang on. Now, there, that's good enough. And I'm going to save it, and I could save it right here, but I'm going to put it in my items folder. Midna's Sabre. Boom. Now I have the image, and I'm going to upload it. You can drop it, or you could find it on your computer, but since I have it right here, I'm gonna drag and drop Midna Sabre right there, and it saves it as a new file, Midna's Sabre. Apply the changes. There we go, we have an image. Map caption we don't have to worry about. Image caption, I usually make it the item description, but we don't have to worry about that. Editor ID, we're going to find damage, speed, reach. All this stuff we're going to find. Tempering tier is sort of the weapon material. So if it was Elven, if it was weapon material Elven, I would put Elven. And we're going to find all that information using a program called Xedit or TES5Edit. I'm going to open this up. It's a free program that you can download, and I'm going to go to Relics of Hyrule Dragonborn.esp and load that up. What I did there was I right-clicked and did select none, and then I found Relics of Hyrule and ticked the box for Relics of Hyrule. So it's just Relics of Hyrule and it's other associated files loading up. Takes a little bit of time to load, but we don't need all of that. All we need is, once this appears, then we can find all the stuff in it. So I'm going to go down to Weapon, and I'm going to sort by name, and I'm going to find Midna's Sabre. Midna's Sabre. Midna's Sabre. So, form ID is right here. As you can see, it was 2-0 when we opened it in the game, and now it's 0-4. So those first two numbers, not important. It's only the 6 at the end that are important. So it is C1C288, which we got. And the editor ID is Twilight Sabre Midna ROH. So that's what I'm going to write for editor ID. Twilight Midna Sabre. Oh, Midna Sabre ROH. That is the editor ID. Damage. Damage is over here. It's down here in game data. Whoop, don't want to move that. But there's the game data. So value, damage is 11. Weight is 3.5. Value is 2006. Speed is 1.2. Reach is 1. And then we have to wait for it to load, to finish loading, to find the tempering material, but we can find out that the weapon material is Daedric. So tempering tier is Daedric, and then the item it needs to temper is what tempering in the info box is for. So we can either wait for it to load. We're going to copy the description and put it in the image caption. Not necessary, but could be worth it. Okay. So once it's loaded, we're going to just reselect it. I just clicked on this, clicked on that, and click referenced by, and then temper. This will tell us what material is needed to temper it, and it needs glow dust to temper it. So I'm going to write glow dust. Nope. Glow dust for its tempering, and its enchantment. We're going to check, we're going to go back down here. We're going to check what its enchantment is. Object effect, Inch Weapon Twilight Damage. Whoops. Inch Weapon Twilight Damage. So we're going to find that in Object Effect. Twilight Damage. Twilight Damage. And it uses the base effect, Inch Twilight Damage, FF Contact. This can get a little complicated. You don't need to add this information. If it's too complicated to find it, you don't need to pull your hair out. But here's that object effect. We went into the object effect, the the magic effect section, and we scrolled down to twilight damage. And twilight damage is actually kind of complicated. It uses a perk, but it has a description. And that description is what we're going to use. And it's actually 10, because we saw it says burns the target for mag points at dawn, freezes the target for mag points at dusk. Now what's the mag? Well, if we go to the inch, it says 10. Mag is magnitude. So we know that Midna's Sabre does twilight damage, 10 points at dawn, 10 points at dusk, and that's all we need to do. So this info box is finished. We don't need to add a title unless the info box is in an article that has a different title from the item. So if the article's name was Midna's Weapons, and we needed to have an info box specifically about Midna's Sabre, then we would add a title. But since the title is the same as the article, it will fill in automatically as Midna's Sabre. So there's the picture. There's the description. There's all the good stuff. So that's how you do an info box. That's the basic thing for an info box. Then it's a matter of writing the article. There's a few sections that are needed for the article. And then all you need to do is add headings. So one heading that's needed is background and inspiration, and that's just information about like when it was added. And then above that would be the lore section, which I am the only person who knows the lore, so leave that section alone. You don't need to add these sections, but I will. See also section is good, so I'm going to write Twilight Weapons, Midna's Tomb, and these are articles that are associated with the item itself. And now I'm just going to describe what Midna's Sabre is. It's a unique Twilight Sabre found in Midna's Tomb. It has an invisible blade that is a unique Twilight Sabre that has an invisible blade. It is equal in strength to and I'm going to look up weapons on Skyrim Wiki. To see what is equivalent with, so people can get a sense of how strong it is. It is equivalent to an elven sword. So we're gonna do an elven sword that swings quickly. Swings more quickly and weighs less. And that's all we really need. In battle, is tempered with a sample of glow dust. If you wanted to link to the the article on glow dust, you could. You don't need to, but I might as well. And that's just click link and then paste the link in there, and it will link to glow dust. It's tempered with a sample of glow dust. What else can I talk about this thing? foes struck by Midna's Sabre will take 10 points of fire damage at dawn and 10 points of frost damage at night. Oh, at dusk. Dawn, which is 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. It's 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. And that's information. Since I'm not going to fill these out, I don't really want to have the blank sections, so I'm going to get rid of those so that it's nice and clean. We need to add some categories, so I'm going to add weapon. It's a weapon. It's a sword. And it's Relics of Hyrule canon. If it was from a game like Twilight Princess, then we can type in the game, and that's organization stuff. It's also incomplete in that it doesn't have background, missing background, and it's missing lore. But it's pretty much complete, so I don't need to add incomplete category. But if I needed to, I could do that, just so I can keep track of which articles are incomplete. But I will give it that because it's missing backgrounds, missing lore. So I'm going to save that. There we go. Those are the categories. This is a complete article. Most important thing is the info box, and then describing where it is and roughly what it does. We can flesh this out. We can add more information if we needed to, but now anyone looking for Midna Sabre will be able to know what the form ID is, what kind of weapon it is, where it is, and what it does. Hopefully that was helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. If I need to make another one of these videos, I can, about more advanced stuff. At this point, this should be a good starting point. So, good luck, and have fun.